I was living in one of those sit flats in Kimkeet Avenue. During my pre-university days, I would study late into the night in the tiny kitchen. There were only 2 bedrooms in those flats, and as they were occupied by my brothers and sisters and mother, I didn't want to disturb them by studying there. But the awful thing was that even if I was studying at about 1 a.m. in the morning, someone in my family, either my mother or a sister or a brother, would stay up and potter around the kitchen. Of course this was distracting, but I didn't want to say anything because they were being sweet and keeping me company without saying so. I realized that. However, sometimes if they made too much noise, like washing the dishes at 12:30 or even 1 a.m., I would scold them, even though they were older than me, and tell them they should think of the neighbors. They would continue to wash the dishes and whatever, but do it quietly. However, I would not go to sleep until I did. This went on for the whole of my pre-U years. If you're wondering how come I could stay up so late and still go to morning school, well, I got into trouble several times for being late. I was up studying because they always thought I was something of a rowdy. Anyway, the point is, when we finally moved out of that Kimkeet flat and into Ang Mo Kio, one day several years later one of my sisters spilled the beans. She said in those days our Kimkeet flat was haunted. There was a spirit that would wander around all the time and everyone in the family had seen it except me. They assumed I had not seen it because I never mentioned it. Actually, that was a pretty good assumption. I really had no idea of such a thing. Anyway, when they had stayed up with me, it was more than just keeping me company. My family had loyally stayed up to protect me from ghosts, even though they themselves are terrified of such things, but had never said a word and had even had to tolerate my sometimes insensitive outbursts. Really, there is nothing like a family that cares.